Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Libra. If Libra is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. Okay, and let's see what these tea leaves have to say. They are a bit scattered tonight. And so, the card that has been pulled for tonight's reading is the Empress. And this is a card that is related to motherhood, devotion to family, kind of being the one that looks over everyone. Just kind of a very loving, grounded, but stern when necessary kind of energy. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. What do we have going on? So, the first one I see, it almost looks like a person wearing maybe a dress or a robe, but they look like they have the head of a deer or an antelope, and it looks like they're holding on to maybe a bird or a baby. Whatever it is, it looks like these two are matched together and bonded. So I do get this kind of motherly energy. It seems like in this very kind of upright and confident posture, the horns are kind of, very prominent. There is this kind of, a feeling of I'm not mincing words, right? Kind of really coming in, maybe not super hot, but guarded, protected, ready to go if they must. And so it seems like maybe there has been a little bit of messiness. Let's just say that. We also have a person over here that looks like a frog. It really does kind of look like it has a frog's head, but more of a humanoid body. And it looks like they have their arm out and they're dropping, it looks just kind of like debris there. But it's going into this kind of more metaphysical, spiritual zone. So I feel like this person who is quite a toad in your life is really kind of just making things a little bit chaotic, uncomfortable, maybe having, I feel like just a sense of being a bit unhinged, loud, just starting trouble for no reason, causing a mess in that kind of emotional space, but also in this spiritual space. So being thrown off of your nice balance from the bottom to the top. But I think that you are also showing up with this kind of, very, and this is more in that material physical world, you're very grounded. And I think that, you're a Libra, so you're very diplomatic when you need to be. And I think that, whatever is going on with this person, and I do think that, and I'm trying to see here because we have another person standing here with a bird as well. kind of holding a bird. And then I see kind of this arrow pointing down, and it looks like a moon, a crescent moon. So we have a very heavy lunar goddess kind of energy, night side kind of energy. So I feel that all of this together, it seems like this could be actually maybe a family member, somebody who, you know, is maybe extended family, or maybe somebody who is in the kind of smaller community, a friend of the family, somebody you work with, whatever it is. They have some influence over your life, just, you know, maybe not greatly, but, you know, they can cause waves for sure. So I think that this is probably a feminine person. And I would say that they're maybe around your age, or definitely not super young. Okay, I think that this is somebody who is at least in their, you know, mid-20s to maybe their 50s, somewhere in that zone. So they know better. But this is kind of just something that they do. And I don't think that whatever's going on is directly kind of focused on you, but I think that they're upsetting somebody that you care for. And that's where these birds are kind of coming in for me. It seems like somebody who, maybe even a child, maybe your adult child, or somebody that you've taken care of, a niece, a nephew, but somebody you definitely, you know, you will take up for them under any circumstances. And this kind of messiness, I think, really just is kind of absurd, but something that, you know, has been pushed to the point where you can't ignore it anymore. It's starting to cause problems within your own family unit, at least upsetting people who, you know, are your children, your spouse, your parents, whatever, you know, something that you won't stand for. And you're getting into this kind of Empress protector mode where you're gonna have to like put your foot down about this. This cannot go on. You're not going to be affected by somebody else's whims. And this is where this moon, this lunar kind of energy comes in, is that this seems to be a person who they cycle through personalities. They, you know, kind of go from being somebody who's pretty benign, maybe even pretty friendly, somebody that you enjoy, but then, you know, if you let them in even a little or give them an inch, they, you know, will use it against you when they are going through these kind of darker periods of their, you know, larger ebb and flow. So, you know, I think that this is where, because you know how this person kind of behaves, I don't think that you're going to blow up at them. I don't think that that would even work. I think that kind of feeds into this kind of behavior. So I think this is where your ability to use your kind of diplomatic demeanor, you're very well, you know, you're well-spoken, you know how to talk to people so that they can hear you. You know how to listen to people so they know that you are receiving what they're feeling. And I think that this is what is going to kind of, you know, defuse the situation, is just being there, communicating, treating them like a human being, but, you know, not giving too much, keeping to those, you know, boundaries, and letting them know that this is not gonna, you know, play out this way. And I think that that's gonna be the most beneficial thing to this situation, is that, you know, this person kind of seems a little bit out of control, pretty messy. But I think speaking reasonably to them is going to be the key that kind of unlocks this tendency towards this behavior, at least in this particular situation. Okay. And, you know, maybe this is kind of, you are somewhat of a mediator, an advocate, somebody who is diplomatic within your family, within your work. And so I think this will go a long way. Okay, let's see. What else do we have going on here? I did see a cup here with, it looks like, now it's kind of resting on that moon. And then it looks like it has some kind of like a flame coming out of it. So I kind of think of, you know, making, well, first I thought making moon water, but it kind of almost seems like a liquid of spirits. And that could be something like wine or, you know, an alcohol that has spirits in it or whatever. And I know my husband has explained to me, because he has a deeper understanding of alchemy, plant alchemy, than I do. But it's distilled down to the spirit of the plant. And so I feel like well, I feel a draw towards water, but I feel like more than anything that this is kind of about keeping your emotions in check and allowing them to stay in that vessel, the cup, right? The grail that holds those sacred waters, those creative waters. And when the water is merged with the flame, the fire, the other creative force, then, you know, we have this beautiful kind of transmutation into this more airy form. And so I think that this is really about, you know, in mastering those emotions, and being able to kind of feel how you feel, but not reacting in the way that is expected, or in a way that is more than should be, a way that makes you feel like you have lost your ability, your control in the situation. In mastering that, you're able to take those energies and direct them into more creative or thoughtful, and that's more of that airy state, right? Vaporized state. And so I think that this is, you know, definitely that road to wisdom. The mastery of self, mastery of emotions, and having greater wisdom, having greater depth to experiencing. When we go into a situation and we are taken completely by the intensity of, you know, sensation and emotions and, you know, impulse and whatever, it's very immediate, right? And very present. And that's a wonderful thing. But there's also lost a lot of room for insight. Okay. And not every experience has to be so immersive. I think that there are plenty of corridors that we travel down and through, many galleries that we travel through in our interior mansion where we do not need to linger for too long, right? Or we don't need to kind of make ourselves too comfortable in the, ambience of it. I think, though, that what we can do is take note of the arrangement, that how things do kind of make us feel. Take that information with us so that we can, in other situations, figure out how are we going to navigate this, where, when it really does matter, right? And so when we deal with people in our life that we love, but they are sometimes ridiculous or predatory or destructive, getting lost in the emotions of that with every moment or every time, every event that comes up. I mean, it's so tiring. For me, I think of these things kind of as within the context of addiction, because I'm in recovery for substance abuse. So I know a lot of people throughout my life, including myself, who have been addicts, who are, maybe some are in recovery, some of them are in active addiction still. But whatever it is, I have definitely put myself into roles where I want to help people, I want to save people, I want to be there for them. And every time something comes up and, they're causing kind of tornadoes of dysfunction, and you get the calls crying and, this person did this and that person did that, and I'm suffering, and you want to save them. You want to do whatever you can. And it happens over and over and over again. And it is so tiring. It is depleting. And so, when we can learn to be able to hear what they have to say, feel how we feel, but not react in that way that they think that we will. It's like dealing with a child at times with some people. I see that now a lot with having a toddler. I see her behaviors remind me of people from my life at times, and the tactics that people use, the manipulation, just to try things out. And when they're a toddler, they're pushing boundaries. They're seeing how people work, how they can how they can game the system, basically. And so you have to have resolve with them, right? If you give in over and over again, they're going to know you're a pushover. They can do this. This is how they're going to be able to get whatever they want. Well, you have to be firm in some ways, and lenient in others. You have to learn these things. But the important thing is, learning to control your reactions. Okay, because you don't lose yourself when you are not succumbing to those emotions. And, for me, that's been difficult because I am a very reactionary person. And not only am I reactionary, just the nature of my mind is everything is so much bigger of a deal than it really is. So it's hard, but that's the work. That's the big work, And so I see this symbol, and I know that was very long-winded, but I look at this and I think this is the lesson that is coming from this situation for you. This is the Empress, and you can see here we have, we have this, we have the Lunar crescent here in the card. You can see it right here. You can see it right here. And you see it in right there. Okay. We have, you know, the person holding, which looks like a bird kind of, but it could be, you know, the bird, the flowers, and this kind of very like watery, green, natural, holistic color scape here. So, you know, I think that's what this is all about. It's not about controlling somebody else, controlling the environment. It's not about, you know, anybody really following what you have to say or anything, but it is about learning to control that interior so that it kind of projects out, and that's how you are able to communicate with other people so well. Because, you know, as a Libra, I think that you are kind of naturally a person that is not, I hate the word hysterical, but I identify as a hysterical person, so I guess I'm allowed to say it. But, you know, you're not somebody who gets overly emotional or ridiculous about things. So dealing with people like that is not too difficult for you. You are able to stay somewhat grounded, maybe not like stoic, but, you know, you stay reasonable. And, you know, I'm just looking at this. I think that ultimately, too, I think there's a lot of anxiety around this, but I also think that, you know, it pushes you back to really focusing on kind of working on this stuff. Oh, and I see a little person on a horse here. Right here. Okay, so a sense of traveling. We have, it looks like a goddess figure here. We have a person that, and this one looks like they're laying under the moon. So I think that there is this kind of really heavy lunar energy, but I also feel that just that feminine consciousness is really there. That kind of mother archetype, just really a confidence in knowing that what you're doing is the right thing, okay? And following your intuition about how to deal with most things, but especially a situation like this. And you're going to do what you have to do to take care of yours. And I think that, you know, that comes through, and that kind of, you know, really makes you, whoever this person is, kind of really listen, take heed. But this person kind of laying under the moon here, that's interesting to me too, because I think that even though this person who is kind of causing troubles has this lunar energy, I also feel like you are very drawn to a lunar energy, because I think that you live more in that realm of like a balanced, kind of rational state of mind. Like things make sense, you know, in a rational stream of thinking. You are drawn to this kind of more surreal absurdism, kind of strange and eccentric, creative, not the destructive nature of it, but just kind of that weird demented feeling that the moonlight gives, right? Everything seems a little bit different than what it does in the daylight. So I think that this is kind of your quiet, you know, that quiet thing that maybe people wouldn't guess about you, but and you maybe don't offer it up widely, but it is something that is there. You have kind of a little bit of a strange, maybe a little bit morbid, maybe a little bit dark sense of humor. Maybe you're into some creepy stuff, watching scary movies or weird, you know, like Fellini films or something. I don't know. But, you know, we also have another crescent moon over here. So, I mean, geez, it really, and as I'm doing this reading, it is the new moon. So, this lunar energy really does make sense to me. And, you know, she's always going to let herself be known. But we also have, it looks like a bonfire, okay? But it's not lit. Okay, so we also have a little bird up here, and I feel like there is this anticipation for kind of that burning desire to really be lit. And I think that that is on its way. I hope that next week is that what that reading is going to be about, like setting yourself ablaze, you know, as far as passions go. But I do feel like there is kind of the stirrings of some very creative, potent time coming. And I also think, you know, you're due for the great love affair. So we'll see. We'll see if that comes to be. And I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me. I am always so honored to be able to bring you these messages. I really just appreciate each and every one of you. We're growing the channel. You know, we're over 12K subscribers, so that's awesome. And if you haven't subscribed, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next video comes out. Between now and, you know, about 6 or 7 days from now, you can watch your other placements, your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising. Venus, I know, is a big one that people watch, and cross-watching, of course. If you want to leave a comment, I read all of them, and I try to get back to them as quickly as I can. Sometimes it takes a day or two. This week I'm a little bit behind. I have all of these kind of outside projects that I'm working on, and it just, you know, summertime, my goodness. So anyways, I will get to them as I'm actually, this is my last reading. I'm gonna go get in bed and do all my comments before I go to sleep. So anyhow, Libra, I thank you so much. I'd love to hear from you, and if I don't, we'll talk again in a few days.